Hey guys, and welcome. Today we got another episode of the Inside Battlefield podcast where the developers talk about several changes and improvements that we can expect to see with the start of Season 5. And these are focused on the camera shake and changes to the two specialists Irish and Dozer today. And I also have some additions to last week's topic with the squad management system. But we're gonna start with the changes to the camera. With update 5.0, we can expect improvements to the motion of the camera while sprinting and running to make these types of movement feel more natural, more immersive, and in general more heavy, as if you were physically moving across the battlefield and you really feel like a soldier that is sprinting with heavy gear on their back or a heavy weapon in their hands. Unlike former titles of the series, Battlefield 2042 has launched with a relatively low camera movement, so this will be increased now, especially in horizontal direction, which means your soldier's head will move a bit more left and right when sprinting instead of up and down or back and forth. And this will also only be applied to the two sprint variants, so when you normally walk there's no change compared to today, but when you sprint or traverse the sprint there will be a noticeable difference. This will also be affected by your weapon's weight, so if you carry a light SMG it will be less intense than when carrying a heavier LMG, and the inspiration for this change is coming from Battlefield 4, but it was of course adjusted to fit the overall gameplay style and movement of 2042. If you don't like this new feature at all, you will be able to turn it off at any time and can go back to the camera motion we have right now, because there will be a setting for this available in the options and then accessibility, and this will be called reduced camera motion. With the option turned on, the motion will be in the state it has right now, and with the option turned off, the new mechanic is applied and sprint will feel heavier and more intense. So just in case you easily suffer from motion sickness, no worries, you will be able to turn this off. What might be interesting to know here as well is that just like it is now, the camera movement will also be affected by your field of view. So when you play with the default FOV of 50, the motion will be stronger compared to an FOV of 90. But the new camera motion was adjusted to the default FOV, so it will not be stronger than intended with this value. And then the next change the developers were talking about are several adjustments to the abilities of Irish and Dozer, because according to their data, these two characters are the least picked specialists in the game, and with the changes they want to make them more attractive for playing. Even though I'm not quite sure if this will work for Irish, but first things first. What's the change we can expect for him? Well, there won't be any adjustments made to Irish himself or to his passive ability, and not even to his deployable cover. Instead, the only gadget that is affected by update 5.0 is the shoot-down sentinel and the way it works. Because right now, when you place it, the sentinel will immediately start to scan for enemy explosives and constantly shoots them down until the gadget itself is destroyed. There's no cooldown or any way to counter it besides shooting it or destroying it with C5. In addition, there's also no feedback when your grenade was intercepted by a sentinel, and you can only guess that you don't hit anything because the enemies have an APS up. But all of this will change with the start of the next season, because then the sentinel will receive different states that it is looping through to guarantee a better readability and balance. This is supposed to give the enemy team a chance to counter the APS and also give them a time frame where the grenades are working. So with the new flow, the sentinel will have 3 states. The first one is the boot up state that takes about 1 second and gets triggered in the moment you place it. Then after this there is the surge state where it scans for enemy explosives, and this state doesn't have a time limit. And when the APS detects an explosive, it goes into the intercept state where it destroys all incoming explosives for the next 5 seconds. After this, it will have a 7.5 second cooldown before it switches back to the surge state and starts scanning again. So there will be a 7.5 second window where no projectiles are destroyed by the sentinel, which allows enemies to plan their explosives. This was also made to counter camping tanks with APS around them that couldn't be destroyed from distance, because right now your only chance is to get closer to them with C5, but you won't get any rockets through. With the new system, you can simply test with one rocket if there is an active sentinel nearby, and when your rocket gets destroyed, you know that after 5 seconds you can fire everything you have and it won't get intercepted anymore because the APS is on cooldown. This also means it matters a lot more where you place the shoot-down sentinel and when you place it, and to tell from distance which state the sentinel has, they've also added different lights to it, similar to the APS upgrade of vehicles. When the sentinel is booting up, the light will flash in white. While it is in search state, the light will be green, and when it's intercepting, the green light will flash. Not sure what color it will be when on cooldown, but probably red like it is on the vehicle APS, or there will be no light at all. This was not specifically mentioned during the podcast. In addition to this, the APS will also have different audio signals for its states, and the brightness of the visual effect when intercepting an enemy projectile will also be increased to make it easier to tell where this explosive was coming from. Enemies will then also receive a feedback when their explosive was destroyed, which will be a little icon above the crosshair, and the APS can then also be countered with EMP grenades, so you can throw them and the gadget will be set out of order for a few seconds. And of course, C5 will also not get destroyed by it, but that's already the case right now. What was also said is that the Sentinel will not stop explosive shells from tanks anymore, but I still hope that I got this wrong, or that there is a limitation to only the shells and not the grenades of the weapon pods, because it's actually pretty helpful that these can be countered with the Sentinel at the moment. Let's see, we will surely get some more details to this closer to the start of the season. And one last detail to this topic is that all of these changes that are made to Irish Shootdown Sentinel will also be applied to the APS upgrade for vehicles. So the light effects will be the same, the audio signals, and also the feedback for the players whose explosives are intercepted. That should make it clearer for players to understand how these two systems work, and also that they work in a similar way. And then we will also get a few changes for Dozer, but these are actually real buffs for him. Because what will return is that Dozer can use his shield while on a zipline, so he can protect everyone behind him from getting shot, and the general hit accuracy, hit registration, and the range of the shield will be improved. In addition, he gets a little speed buff when strafing and running with the shield, and an assist event for when an enemy is shooting at his shield but is then killed by one of Dozer's teammates. So all very good improvements to the specialist. For the movement, this doesn't mean of course that he has the same speed with the shield that he has without it. The turning and running will still be slower, but it's supposed to feel more agile and responsive after the update. One little nerf will be made though, cause the dispersion of the bullets deflected from the shield will be increased, so they will return with a much wider spread to their sender, which means it will be less likely that you can hit enemies with their own bullets. It's still possible and you can also still damage or even kill enemies with this, but it's less likely. And one last change for Dozer is that when you use a field of view of 69 or lower, the game will automatically adjust your FOV to a value of 70 when using the shield. According to the developers, this was made to give players that usually have low FOV the chance to be aware of their surroundings while using the shield, and it will only be applied in this case. For all players who use an FOV of 70 or more, there won't be any change made and you can keep on playing with your normal FOV. It's really only for the players with a low field of view and only while using the shield. With the changes, DICE tries to encourage people to play Dozer a bit more and also in the way he is supposed to be played, which is to storm the front lines with the shield and charge into enemy positions. So let's see if this works, but so far the changes for him sound pretty good. And then as a last point, I have an addition to the squad management system that was part of the podcast and also of my video last week, or it's actually a correction. Because from the description in the podcast, I thought the new squad system would have a kick or ban feature, so you can remove players from your squad when you are the squad leader and you want to make space for your friends, or simply if a player is not really cooperating. But this is not true. Community manager Tom Stratman clarified this in a recent post on Reddit, and here he said that the system will not have any feature to kick or ban players from a squad, because DICE feels like this doesn't promote the healthy PTFO behavior they want for the game. And that if you want to play with friends and need more space for them in the squad, or your squad mates are not cooperating, you can create a new squad. But to me this doesn't look like the best solution, to be honest. Of course there will be the new reservation system with which you can lock up a squad and only your friends will be able to join in, but for example, when you are in a squad with 2 friends and a random player and a 3rd friend wants to join in, then you and your 2 friends need to move to a new squad instead of just kicking out the one random player. Or when 3 people in a squad work perfectly together and one doesn't, you cannot kick out this one player, instead the 3 others have to move away. And this doesn't really seem right to me. Maybe it would be better to add a feature that allows you to select a reason for kicking someone, for example making space for a friend or kick due to inactivity or something. That gives an explanation for the kicked player and also allows the squad leaders to properly manage their squads. I don't think there needs to be a ban feature, that's probably a bit too much, but the kick feature has been available in former titles and I never had the feeling that it was abused to randomly kick players from a squad for no reason. So I think they should have kept it for 2042 as well. But that was it for today. More news around Battlefield 2042 and an in-depth look at the new weekly missions, modes and store items will be coming with tomorrow's video as usual. And if you enjoyed this one, don't forget to drop a like or a comment below and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Until then, thanks for watching, I'm the Catwoman and you are awesome.